2006, time really flies. I made a bold statement. I stated, open source is more secure, period. The reasoning for this statement was the following. More people control the code base. They react immediately to vulnerabilities, and open source doesn't have so much of a problem with legacy code because of the number of distributions. My statement has been discussed widely in 2006. And when we look at the threat landscape, the cybercrime world behaved as expected. Lots of attacks on Windows operating systems and applications, very little on the X operating systems. And then, ta-ta, hardly shell shock in 2014, and some people called it the end of the computer world as we know it. That the internet will fall apart, especially because of the bash vulnerability named shell shock. The theory was that all routing devices, all backbones are based on Linux and they are all vulnerable. So attackers could nuke the backbone of the internet and we all have to use our phones to communicate. What a horrible thought. Trend Micro didn't jump into the back to the dark ages statement to the message. Instead, we developed tools to help our customers to figure out if the systems are affected. And our threat researchers figured out that especially the critical backbones are not affected at all as they don't use bash, but other command line shells like BusyBox to save memory on the devices. So at least my statement about number of distributions, about diversity is still valid. Question is, why did nobody spot the flaws earlier? Are we just too lazy as software developers and just copy and paste code and take the function and stability for granted? Do we ignore that there are an average of 15 to 50 bugs per 1,000 lines of code? Seems that we need to be more careful. And seems that we need to be a bit more regulated in the software industry. Yes, now you could throw virtual stones on me. If we develop software for critical infrastructure, for example, we need to ensure that these systems are solid. We are talking about a risk for human lives. So I expect governments to issue standards for the usage of these systems. One example, they should not happily say, smart meters are good for our power grids, but they also need to look at the risk of connecting and controlling all of these devices. And they need to demand proper hardening and need to check it through proper code reviews. In the case of closed code, through proper black box testing. And governments need to figure out what critical infrastructure really is. After the attack on a French TV station, it was called critical infrastructure. Isn't the internet a critical infrastructure as well? Do we do enough to protect this infrastructure? I don't have the answers, but I hope this starts some discussions.